When growing a plant, you have to use some sort of fertilizer to actually feed the plant. This is definitely going to be very necessary and very needed in the actual production of these plants. But the fertilizer is definitely based on what you find to be what you have success with. A lot of people use all different types of things. They use decomposed fruits, they use all types of things. But one thing that is actually causing a little bit of conflict in the market right now is bat guano. Why would this cause conflict, and why would this even be used by the people anyways? So what bat guano actually is bat poop. It's literally bat poop. And where they're finding this is in caves. It has actually been reported that there is an incident in New York where a guy was getting it from his attic. In a scenario like this, where he was getting it from his attic, he was getting it from bats that had all types of diseases. It's actually reported in America that there is some bats that have the West Nile virus.
A recent study in Wisconsin showed that bats living in people's bat houses, in their yards, they looked at the droppings of those bats and genetically analyzed to see what they were eating, and they found that those bats living in bat houses were eating 15 species of mosquitoes, 9 of which carried West Nile virus.
In New York, there is also another case where another guy died, but the reason was because he was breathing it in, supposedly. It caused some sort of lung infection, and they actually report that this guy was ordering the bat guano he was using online. So it opens a lot of people's imaginations or curiosity to wonder what actually makes certain ones clean. Why are certain ones actually giving these very negative results? The one thing that I really wonder is where they're sourcing certain ones that actually are useful. Supposedly, from what I've been told, is they get it from South America. In South America, they're not spraying the mosquitoes, and they're not spraying all of these different pesticides to get rid of these different bugs. So what that does is it doesn't contaminate the food that these bats are ending up to eat. What it also is doing is somewhat making sure that it's going to be clean, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It kind of gives it a little bit better of a chance, but who actually knows? We are kind of the guinea pigs in the process of learning which one's safe or which one's gonna kill us.
Shots of these bats exiting this cave, and it's a particular cave in Africa that has just millions and millions and millions of bats.
Okay.
And every evening they leave this cave.
Okay.
So they set the cameras up, and they're filming this. And as the bats leave, they and they all over these guys. And millions and millions and millions of bats on these guys, and they developed a hemorrhagic virus, and they were dead within days.
And when I say they're finding them in caves, this is definitely something I find very interesting, because it definitely isn't necessarily them saying it is the cleanest. What it is saying that they're finding big surplus amounts of it because there's been a huge buildup in these caves for however long. That doesn't mean that it is clean, nor does it mean that it's been stored proper in these caves. What it means is they just found a big amount in these caves. So it is very tricky. Of course, we do know that bats migrate. They're not things that just stay over winter time. So could they be migrating to these places in South America and staying in these caves? Maybe. Definitely possible. But what is definitely obvious is that there's contamination in mostly all of this droppings, regardless if it's going to be from the pesticides we're putting into the system.